You're listening to the Dre Area Sports Show, live on YouTube and X. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Dre Area Sports Show. Today, we're going to be doing our Week 4 simulation of Jaguars at 49ers with the Nick Bosa-less 49ers going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Guys, I'm your host, Dre, host of Dre Area Sports. And man, let me tell you, it's not good. This has been one of the toughest weeks I've gone through as a content creator, I'll tell you that. I mean, the fact that we lost Nick Bosa for the year, pretty devastating. Pretty devastating. You know, it's something you don't want to hear. It's something you don't ever want to hear, to be honest with you. But Nick Bosa tore his ACL. Let's start with that because, I mean, really, before we get to anything else, we have to cover this again and again and again. But let's just do it now anyway. Just get it over with. That's right. Nick Bosa is out for the year. That's the wrong tweet. But yeah, Nick Bosa is out for the year. He did post this on his social media. Heartbroken. This is after his surgery. Tore his ACL. This is the second time he's torn his ACL on that right knee. He tore it before in high school, or was a partial tear in high school, and now it's a complete tear, which happened just a couple days ago. It's pretty devastating. It's probably the worst news we could have heard outside of either Brock Purdy or Fred Warner out for the year. It doesn't get any worse than this. The Niners are going to have to do a lot to make up for his loss. I mean, the guy is a monster. He plays like around 280 pounds, 6'5", former Defensive Rookie of the Year, former Defensive Player of the Year. The guy had 21 and a half sacks one year. And now we're going to get absolutely nothing out of him because he has torn his ACL. It's a they call it clean tear. But he's out. Now, what does this mean for San Francisco? What do they do to get back the loss of Nick Bosa? Well, they could go out and trade and get a guy in here. Get a guy to replace him. So I'm just posting this on X so everyone knows we're live. This could be a case where it's like, hey, look, he's down. Let's go out there and get a guy. Let's go out there and try to replace him. And we'll go over a couple of names that I think are, could be had. But for now, no one's going to trade their edge rusher, defensive end, anybody right now. Even if they're 0-3, they're not trading. You got to wait until you get past week 5 into week 6. And then things will really start to build up, start to heat up. I'm still fighting this congestion. Dude, I was sick for like 2 weeks. It was awful. I had to cancel all these streams. Such a horrible feeling when you get sick. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But still, Nick Bosa out for the year. He suffered the torn ACL. We'll see how he bounces back from this. He was pretty yoked this year, listening to Larry Krueger. He was up to 280 pounds, just maxed out muscle-wise. And I think that when he comes back, he might not be that big. He may tone it down a bit because that's a lot of weight on your legs. And the way he came out around that corner against 2 defenders, he planted, a little odd. He was being pushed the opposite direction, and it just caused a tear of his ACL. I was convinced. I was clearly convinced that this was nothing more than, at worst, an MCL sprain. Because I saw him doing the high stepping. I saw him walking around. He left the locker room with his parents with just a fabric brace around his leg, around his knee. I thought, okay, if it's an ACL, it's usually pretty more devastating than that. The cart wasn't brought out. They weren't carrying him off. This looks good. This looks like a possibility that he could miss a few weeks. No, he's out for the whole year. He's not going to come back. We won't have Nick Bosa for the remainder of the season. So this puts a lot more pressure on guys like Michael Williams, Yetur Gross-Matos. Now these guys who had the flexibility of playing on the interior, had the flexibility on playing on certain downs, now they're going to be playing a lot more snaps. And that's tough. Bryce Huff likely will be playing more snaps. And we talked about last season how Nick Bosa played the most snaps in his entire career. And we saw the effect it had on him. Wore him down. On a D-line that didn't have Javon Hargrave, that had Malik Collins and guys, it just didn't work. So the Niners went out and drafted all these young guys. Collins, Alfred Collins, that is. CJ West. And got Bryce Huff. Don't forget Michael Williams, obviously. But they got Bryce Huff. And they got Bryce Huff to give Bosa an experienced speed edge rusher opposite of Nick Bosa. And now it allows your three young guys, plus Jordan Elliott, plus Kalia Davis, to work on the interior, to not be the focal point, to develop around these two stars. Well, now that whole plan's gone out the window. And now you're right back where you started before you got Bryce Huff. Because before it was going to be Nick Bosa, Michael Williams on the edges. But then you got Bryce Huff. That changed everything. But now you lost Nick Bosa. So a lot more snaps for those guys. That's going to suck. I mean, good for them. They're going to get more playing time. I think CJ West is a monster. But then CJ West got hurt. He broke his thumb. He had surgery this week. He still might even play this Sunday, which is crazy. I don't think he will. I think he'll take this week off. They'll probably promote Robert Beal and probably Sebastian Valdez, I would think. Or Travis Gibson. A combination of those three. Because you got to have a interior and an edge. But that's who you got to replace Nick Bosa. And that's tough. That's tough to do. And at this point, thank God the Niners went out and got Bryce Huff. If we didn't have Bryce Huff, I don't know what we would do at this point. And he's had a great year. You know, without getting Bryce Huff, we'd be in a really, really bad spot right now. Then you'd be having the edges would be Yetur Gross-Matos and Michael Williams. That's totally different. Robert Beal and Sam O be the backups. It's just, and I love Sam O. I think Sam O has done a fantastic job. But it was always easier to do that when you had Nick Bosa, and now you don't. So that's going to be really, really tough to overcome. And there's complications, too, with his surgery because it's the second time that he has torn that ACL. So the second time around, I guess it causes more problems. It has a higher probability of complications for healing. So instead of being out 9 months, he might be out for an entire year. So we might not see Nick Bosa until week 4 of next year. That's crazy to think about. Absolutely crazy. I just can't believe it, man. I just can't believe it. It's the worst thing that could have happened. The worst thing that could have possibly happened. But guys, thank you for tuning in. I want to let you guys know this show is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use promo code DreAreaSports to save up to $20 on your first purchase over at SeatGeek.com. If you're looking to go to the game, support the Niners, then use SeatGeek.com. Use promo code DreAreaSports and save yourself up to $20 on your first purchase over at SeatGeek.com. We're also brought to you by Power Brand Systems. Use promo code 300POWER to save up to $300 on your first purchase over at Power Brand Systems. They're the guys who design and develop the websites for not only myself, but for John Chapman, Johnny Dell, Power Brand Systems. Dominic and Marco will make you a fantastic website for your YouTube channel, social media account, small business, large business, whatever you need, they will get the job done. Use promo code 300POWER and save up to $300 on your first purchase over at Power Brand Systems. We're also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS, use promo code DreAreaSports, and they will match you up to 125% on your first 3 deposits when you use promo code DreAreaSports. BetUS, it's where the game begins. Loving BetUS. I'm loving my coffee, too. You know, I tell you, without coffee, I don't know where I'd be at. And same could be said about Nick Bosa. Without Nick Bosa, I don't know where the Niners would be at. But guess what? They don't have him. So that's like me without coffee. It's scary. Really, really, really scary. Now, let's go to this, too, because this kind of actually pissed me off. I don't know why, but it did. So, the Niners have quietly been kings of the insurance game. What? The Niners took out an insurance policy on guys like Garoppolo, Kittle, D Ford, and I guess they saved up to $11.2 million in cap credits. This year, they took one out on Nick Bosa over his contract, and they saved $7 million in cap space for the Nick Bosa injury. And there they are, proud of themselves. I don't give a fuck about saving $7 million. I don't give a shit. I tweeted this out yesterday. It doesn't negate the fact that Nick Bosa is out for the fucking year. Oh, you saved some money. You saved $7 million? That's great. I would rather you lost $7 million and you had Nick Bosa. I would rather Nick Bosa demand a higher contract because he balled out this year. And to show this picture of these guys like, oh, the kings of insurance policies. I don't give a shit. They got to fire their fucking training staff and get this right. Too many injuries. Now, I hate blaming the training staff. But still, something's got to change. These guys are getting hurt left and right. Now, look, when it comes to Nick Bosa, not much you can do about that. That was a freak situation. But still, they saved $7 million as the cap. That's great. We still lost Nick Bosa, so it's fucking terrible. I don't even want to fucking hear about it. I'm so fucking pissed about that. So what do? How do you replace Nick Bosa? Well, they're not going to do anything unless this team continues to win. If this team wins against Jacksonville, which I think they will, if this team beats the Rams, the Giants, the Texans, then I think that, obviously they're not going to win all these games. The Buccaneers, almost forgot. We got a tough stretch coming up after the Jags. You got Rams and Buccaneers. If they lose 3 straight, no moves. If they win 2 out of 3 or 3 in a row and go 6-0 or 6-1, then I think that they will definitely look to acquire a player because they know that they have a shot. Now, obviously, the guy everyone's been talking about is Trey Hendrickson. Now, he's on the last year of his contract. He only signed a 1-year deal because they couldn't lock him up to a big deal because they're cheap. The Bengals are a terrible franchise. But, I mean, you can use that as leverage, saying, hey, look, it's only a 1-year deal. I'm not getting him for, I'm not getting control of him for another 2 years, 3 years. No, you're only getting him for 1 year. So maybe you give him like a second-round pick, or I would not give up a first-round pick. I would not. I'd give up a second and a third. And if they don't want that, then, hey, we tried. Another guy, other than Trey Hendrickson, would have been Kayvon Thibodeau. He's on the way out. That franchise, the New York Giants, is in disarray. And you're going to play them in like 4 weeks. I think that is a guy that makes sense for San Francisco. I think they can get him for like a 4th or 5th round pick and get him in here. And what does that do? Does he automatically replace Nick Bosa? No, he doesn't. But he is a pass rushing threat. And he gives you the flexibility to move Michael to the interior, to go back to that NASCAR package with this time it'd be Thibodeau, Michael Williams, Yetur Gross-Matos, and Bryce Huff. That would be your NASCAR package on third down when they have to throw the ball. Right now, when you try to go to that NASCAR package, it's not. I mean, what do? You put Sam O out there? Maybe you put big Alfred Collins out there and let him inhale 2 blockers on the interior. I don't know. I'm sure Robert Hall will figure it out. He's a master at that. But those are the 2 guys I'd look at. It's Trey Hendrickson, Kayvon Thibodeau. I think Thibodeau would be more realistic in terms of what they can acquire. And there's a lot of guys out there, but not all of them are going to make that much of a difference. And even Thibodeau, I mean, he's not a Nick Bosa, but he's something. He's a contributor, and I think that would work for you. And you're playing them in a few weeks. So when you go to New York, you do the trade-off. I'll give you a Thibodeau for a pick. But it would help. It would help a lot. And they need to do something because right now, if they don't bring anybody in, they're fucked. I hate saying that too. But, I mean, what's the expectation of this team? I still believe this team can make the playoffs. I really do. The defense is so far, I want to say, is like a top 5 defense, if not top 3. They haven't allowed more than 21 points in all 3 games. The big test, I'm telling you now, the big test is going to be the Rams. I think on Sunday, they all come out with more intensity because of the loss of Nick Bosa. When they go against the Rams, that's the big test. Can they beat the Rams and establish themselves as the best team in the NFC West? By then, you're going to have DeMarcus Robinson back. By then, you're going to have George Kittle back. Their offense is going to look a lot different. And that's the barometer game. That's the game where you say, okay, how good are we? And then you go after a guy like Thibodeau to kind of round out your defensive line, to give it more support. Because I think they really need it. They really, really, really need it.
You're listening to the Drury Area Sports Show, live on YouTube and X. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.